Hey everybody, welcome to Glacier Online. My name is Josh. This week we are continuing our series on the armor of God. Last week we talked about the belt of truth and how it protects us from tripping over our lies because we're choosing to tell the truth instead. This week we're talking about the breastplate of righteousness, and it's like this armor that you put over your chest. And we're going to talk about what that really is and what the Bible means when it tells us about the breastplate of righteousness in a little bit. But next up is this silly video. Here we go. All right, everybody, the game option for today is called quarter golf. And the way it works is you're going to need a quarter, a table, and a fork. And so you're going to put your fork on the other side of the table upside down like this. And so it's going to be facing you, laying on the table, and you're going to have your quarter, and you're going to try to roll your quarter along the table, and you're going to try to get your quarter to roll into the fork like that. This would be a hole-in-one if you were able to roll it all the way into the fork. Now, if you roll it and it just kind of topples over, you can roll from where it landed, just like mini golf, and you'll see how many times it takes you to get it into the fork. So that is quarter golf. I hope you enjoy. And next up is the Bible video. In this video, we're talking about the breastplate of righteousness, which is an armor you would put over your chest. And the reason people would wear this back in biblical times is because they needed protection for their vital organs, like your heart, your stomach, your liver. All of your most important organs are right here in the stomach and chest area. So you needed protection there. And so the reason they say we need to wear this not real armor over our chest, but a spiritual armor, is because we need to protect our spiritual vitals, which is our heart and our soul and our mind. We need to protect ourselves from evil, from doing the wrong thing. And so the way we protect ourselves is with righteousness. And righteousness is like doing the right thing, being pure, being sanctified. That is what being righteous is. But the problem is that humans cannot be fully righteous on our own. Even if we try to do a bunch of good stuff, we can never erase our sins. Only Jesus can do that. See, when Jesus died on the cross for our sins, he forgave all of humanity's sins at once. And if we choose to believe that he died on the cross for our sins, he will forgive our sins as well. And in doing so, he gives us righteousness. He makes us righteous, which protects us from all the punishment of our sins. However, it doesn't protect us from choosing to sin. So when we can accept Jesus' righteousness, that's putting on the breastplate of righteousness. But we have to choose not to sin when we know what sin looks like. So this video is going to show us what sin really looks like, what it is, and how we can choose to avoid it. Because we can accept Jesus' righteousness through his death on the cross, but we still have to choose not to sin, because sin will continually mess us up. You see, even if we have righteousness and we choose to sin, it can mess with our mind and our soul and our heart. It can distract us from Jesus. It can lead us away from him. So we still have to choose to do the right thing, even though we have God's righteousness. So that's what we're going to talk about. I hope you can think about that as you watch the video. Check out the reflection questions, and we will see you all next week.
Sin translates the Hebrew word chata and the Greek word hamartia. The most basic meaning of sin isn't religious at all. Chata simply means to fail or miss the goal. Like when the Israelite tribe of Benjamin trained a small army of slingshot experts, they could sling a stone at a hare and not chata, that is, fail or miss. Or there's a biblical proverb that warns against making hasty decisions because you're likely to chata your way, miss your destination. So in the Bible, sin is a failure to fulfill a goal. But what's the goal? Well, on page 1 of the Bible, we learn that every human is an image of God. a sacred being who represents the Creator and is worthy of respect. And so in this way of seeing the world, sin is a failure to love God and others by not treating them with the honor they deserve. You can see this idea in the famous code of conduct given to the Israelites, the 10 Commandments. Half of them identify ways you can fail at loving God, and the other half name ways you can fail at loving people. And the fact that both kinds of failure are combined shows that failing to honor God is deeply connected to failing to honor people. This is why in the Bible, sin against people is sin against God. A fascinating thing about sin in the Bible is that most of the time that people are failing, they either don't know it, or even worse, they think they're succeeding. Like when Pharaoh wants to build Egypt's economy and protect national security, in his mind, this justifies enslaving the Israelites. He thinks it's good, and he's totally unaware that it's an epic fail. Or when King Saul is chasing David around the wilderness trying to kill him, he thought he was bringing a criminal to justice until he realizes he's the corrupt one, and he says, "I have sinned. I am the failure." So sin is about more than just doing bad things. It describes how we easily deceive ourselves and spin illusions to redefine our bad decisions as good ones. This is why in the Bible, the story of Jesus is such good news. He's depicted as the Creator become a truly human one who did not fail to love God and others. That is, he did not sin. And yet, he took responsibility for humanity's history of failure. He lived for others, and he died for their sins. And he was raised from the dead to offer them the gift of his life that covers for their failures. Or in the words of the apostles, he committed no sin, yet he carried our sins in his body on the cross, so that we might die to our sins and live to do what is right. And that's the story behind the biblical word for sin.